An atheist asked a Christian where God comes from, and I must say the answer was a mic drop moment. Watch this.
I am confused. Being philosophically consistent and being a very honest person, I'm sure you can tell me where God came from. In addition, once you've told me where God comes from, please try to clarify how you can figure that a spiritual force can have an impact on a material universe to create it.
All right, your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and matter is what we call a continuum. All of them have to come into existence at the same instant, because if there were matter but no space, where would you put it? If there were matter and space but no time, when would you put it? You cannot have time, space, or matter independently. They have to come into existence simultaneously. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, there's matter. So you have time, space, matter, created a trinity of trinities there. Just, time is past, present, future. Space has length, width, height. Matter has solid, liquid, gas. You have a trinity of trinities created instantaneously, and the God who created them has to be outside of them. If he's limited by time, he's not God. The guy who created this computer is not in the computer. He's not running around in there changing the numbers on the screen, okay? The God who created this universe is outside of the universe. He's above it, beyond it, in it, through it. He's unaffected by it. So the concept that a spiritual force cannot have any effect on a material body, well then I guess you'd have to explain to me things like emotions and love and hatred and envy and jealousy and rationality. I mean, if your brain is just a random collection of chemicals that formed by chance over billions of years, how on earth can you trust your own reasoning processes and the thoughts that you think? Okay, so your question, where did God come from, is assuming a limited God, and that's your problem. The God that I worship is not limited by time, space, or matter. If I could fit the infinite God in my 3-pound brain, he would not be worth worshiping, that's for certain. So that's the God that I worship. Thank you.
Welcome to the J.J. Carrell Show. Why would I play this about God in this absolutely screwed up world that we live in today? Well, that's exactly why I played it. Because we live in a absolutely screwed up world. We're told lies, lies, and more lies. And as I was prepping for my show and getting ready to produce it and put all the clips together, some days, I will be very honest with you, some days I'm exhausted. And I'm looking at the totality of the mess that we are in. And it's overwhelming. And then you begin to try to put together a show. And where do you go? Where do you limit? My dear God, it's overwhelming. And then I go, okay, well, I saw this clip just kind of popped up in my algorithm. And I was like, yeah, this is what I need to play. Because everything's going to circle back to God. It's going to circle back to your belief or your lack thereof. It just is. We're dancing around in this world, this crazy world that we created. God gave us a beautiful, perfect world, and we bastardized it. So everything that we're doing, everything that we're contemplating, everything that we're thinking we're going to do has to come right back to, is it the Christian thing to do? Or am I supposed to? Is my belief in God, that God created me with all my specific talents and all of my specific flaws and weaknesses, is he expecting me to just shut my mouth? Is that what he's doing? Do you just want me to go to work and do the best I can and work out, stay in shape, and go on my merry way as if everything's okay? Oh, yeah, everything's fine. You know what? To my son, hey, son, everything's going to be just fine. You just You just go to school and you learn as best you can, and then you go to college and try your hardest, and then you get a job and work real hard, and your company's going to take care of you. You're going to take care of the company. The government's got your back. Or do I continue to do a show like this? Or do I continue to speak out loud in public speaking? Do I write more books? Do I do a more documentary? When I'm challenged or when somebody tries to push insanity into my world, do I bow down to it or do I take it head on? And when you begin to look at God the way that gentleman said, and you realize that he's not some small God, he's not some, well, maybe he's here today, maybe he's here tomorrow, I don't know. No. This is the divine power, the being that created our world. We're not some ball spinning 500 million miles an hour through infinite space. That's as absurd as believing we come from nothing. And in this world of lies, you have to have an anchor. My anchor's not Donald Trump. I think he does a very good job. Do I believe and agree with everything he's done? No, and no. My point is, I don't place my well-being, my country's well-being on a man like Donald Trump or any man for that. It's not Donald Trump, it's just any man. Am I going to tie it to a religious leader like a pope because I'm Catholic? Hell no. Then what is my anchor? Honestly, that's something you have to ask yourself. What is your anchor in life? We're flying. This world we live in is so bastardized, so beat up, so filled with lies. No one knows what the truth is anymore. So what is your anchor? Your anchor has to be God. You have to get to the realization that some divine being created this. He had to. The whole ecosystem of the world is such in harmony that no other explanation except a divine power created it. Now, after that, then you get into a plethora of questions. Is God 8 zillion miles away and he's already on to another creation? Or is he sitting here right beside me, watching everything I'm doing? There are times in my life where, man, I just stopped talking to God. I was so angry. I just was like, nope. Fighting that battle. Is he even here? Yeah, I know. I never question that he lives here. Never question that God exists, that he created this. Never in a million years. Never question that he sent his son down here to die. It's just my human stupidity, my ignorance, my arrogance, my resentment when things go not my way. To say, well, you obviously you're not here, you don't care. Those are dark times. I wanted to play it was an AI creation, but you could tell somebody spent some time on it. And it was talking about God's sin, him taking our sins. And part of it was the desperation that Jesus felt on the cross when he felt the separation, darkness from God. That's a real thing. That's a real thing, to feel that darkness of separation. God didn't separate himself from you. I'm talking about myself. I separated myself at times. We have to have an anchor. We live in a world, but more specifically a nation that is so absurd. I guess the best word, truly, the best adjective I can come up with right now is our country is absurd. Let's just go through a couple things. Just spitballing. Let's look at the sexualization of our country, where pedophilia is trying to become normalized. men wearing dresses, men competing in women's sports, having tampons placed in middle school boys' bathrooms. Abortion is rampant. Women are clapping and cheering when we sign abortion laws to circumvent or to lay down new policy and procedures so women can kill their babies, and they're clapping as if that is something joyful that should be celebrated. We're led by religious nut jobs. Look at the nut job that, think of this. Think of the woman that is the senior spiritual leader of our president, the man that makes all of our decisions, that has effect on our life. She is a mental case. Evangelical, 3 times divorced, begging for money, slapping people in the head to heal them, and they send her money. I mean, this is what's running our world. Do you understand? There is no law enforcement. There's no protection. We live in a lawless society. I lived in the law enforcement world for 24 years, and I'm back in. I'm telling you, the 5-year gap that I had by the time that I retired until I came back in, the whole entire society has changed. It is more violent, it is more aggressive, and it is absolutely no respect for law enforcement. Zero, none. It does not exist. Our politicians lie to us every single day. They will not even vote in a election integrity law that 85% of Americans want. 85%. When's the last time 85% of Americans wanted one thing? Oh, I'm glad I asked that. Do you know what the most recent thing where over 80% of the Americans wanted? They wanted the border closed. Did you know that? And 70% want illegal immigration halted or stiffened, tightened. They won't do anything. They open the borders wide open. They allow illegals to vote. They allow mail-in ballots. They allow fraud. Our government then turns around and says they can't do that, but they all get together and they vote almost like 3 to 1, 4 to 1, that they don't have to disclose their sexual harassment claims that are made against them. And our money pays the sexual victims of our senators and congressmen. Our world has become vile, and our nation is absurd. And it's not just our nation, it's our world. I'm going to show you this. This is the Archbishop of Canterbury. Number one, and I don't really care how this makes my audience that are women. Women should not be in positions of authority and power in our faith. They have destroyed many of our religions. And why do they all look like this woman? Unattractive, kind of frumpy, almost asexual. Like there's no sexuality about them, right? No femininity. Well, let's listen to what this woman of God believes about killing children, God's children. Well, let's listen.
Decriminalization of abortion is a question of such legal, moral, and practical complexity that I do believe it cannot be properly addressed in an amendment hastily added to another bill. Consideration of any alteration to the abortion laws needs public consultations and robust parliamentary processes to ensure that every aspect of this debate is carefully considered and scrutinized.
She's advocating for more abortions. She's look, I know she's from England. I get that. I get it. But these are what our pastors and priests are saying too. Or they're hiding from it. I think I have some really good priests in my parish and other churches that I have gone to. And my family, we go to church every Sunday. I have had a sermon on abortion, I want to say in a decade, one time. And it wasn't forceful. One time. One time. One freaking time. And I look around in my beautiful, beautiful churches that I have been attending throughout my life. And I look around, and you know what I don't see? I don't see pews packed. Why? Because people are drawn to truth. People are repelled from half-truths, and they're repelled from cowardness. Here's the irony of all ironies. If we had people that preached about God's word as it's written and about damnation and going to hell and what you need to do in order to go to heaven, you know what would happen? I would barely be able to get a seat in Mass or for you going to church because people are drawn to the truth. You think people are packing that woman's church to listen to her quasi-lesbian look and her abortion's okay? Even the sickest person, morally sick person, can look and say, that ain't right. Let's look at more stuff that we hear that's lies. This is all lies. Let's listen. I like this guy. Let me tell you who his name is. Rich Tidwell. And he's talking about, oh my gosh, we can't say it out loud. Whisper it, Jews and Israel, God's chosen people. Let's listen to what Mr. Tidwell has to say.
Revelation chapter 3, verse 9, behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. You must define who Revelation chapter 3, verse 9 is. Because I don't see any Christian Zionists talking about this passage at all. They're just talking about, you got to support the Jews. They're God's chosen people. Ted Cruz went so far as to say, listen, that if you say Christ is king, that's an anti-Semitic statement now. Is that crazy? He said it. That is a man who has received millions of dollars from AIPAC and cannot be trusted. I'm actually thankful that the mask is off the Zionists. America is a vassal state and has been for some time. John F. Kennedy threatened Israel, the prime minister, and he said, hey, we're going to oversee your nuclear program or you're not going to have one. And he said, you will seriously jeopardize, this is a quote, seriously jeopardize, end quote, the relationship between the U.S. and Israel if we don't oversee your nuclear program. He got shot a few months later. Publicly, ritualistically, in front of everybody, we run your country. Charlie Kirk starts speaking out about Zionism, being negative about it, shot in the throat, publicly, ritualistically, in front of all of us. Well, I'm not thankful for their deaths, but I am thankful that it has caused so many to question what's going on. Why are we attacking Iran? Israel wants to. That's a vassal state. When another king says, raise up your army and come fight this other king with me, read it in the Bible. That's a vassal state. My question is, do you still want to be a vassal state? And if you don't, you're going to need to learn who the synagogue of Satan are so that you understand you're not dealing with the Jews of the Bible. They don't return and rule Jerusalem until the day of the Lord when Jesus returns. That's clear in Jeremiah. That's clear in Ezekiel and multiple other prophets. They don't come rule Jerusalem until Jesus comes.
Until Jesus comes. Not the third temple where we bring in the Antichrist. As I get older, and I learn more and more. Here's the truth. The more I research every single day, the more I begin to connect dots, is the more that I realize how ignorant I am, how propagandized I have been, how I have to unravel, how I have to come to the realization that simple things that I discarded as not true, common sense things that now as an adult I look and think, I'm actually ashamed. I'm ashamed that how did I believe that? How did I believe that? And now, what else do I believe that's absurd? And you start this growth, if you will, where you begin to question everything. And it's not this unicorn and rainbow world where you're so happy and pixie dust. No, you're going down this road and you begin to ask questions of yourself. Okay, well, I was taught this, but reality doesn't line up with what I was taught. Oh God, is this not true either? And then you start to dive into it and you start to read certain people that you respect, that you've come to know that, okay, these are highly intelligent people with wisdom. And it takes time to find those people, right? It takes time to find somebody that writes intellectually articulate and can get the point out the way that it's digestible for you to understand. And you find all of this takes time. It's as if I have to deprogram myself. But I've had this, I don't even know what you want to call it, this meter, if you will, inside of my mind, in my soul, where I've questioned a lot of things throughout my life, even when I was a young boy going into teenage years and be a young man. I didn't have the intellect. Many times today, I still don't. I didn't have the wisdom. That's something that lacks in my life, and I desire it. But I also am not someone that's stupid. So as I've been growing up, even all the way back and when I was a young boy in the 70s and 80s, I would instinctively feel and have some kind of understanding that what I was doing or what I was being told or the actions, the minutia of life that I was in was absurd. What are we doing? This doesn't make sense. This is illogical. It's ineffective. It's inefficient. What are we doing? But I didn't have the intellect or experience to understand, okay, what do I do about this? What is the alternatives to what is out transpiring? I feel that exponentially now as an adult man that has already gone through a career, that's doing a whole nother type of career, different world in media, influencer, whatever you want to call it, being an author, being under public scrutiny. And as I question things, I am falling back on the anchor of God. I'm very aware of my talents, my quote talents or gifts or whatever you want to call it. We all have talents and we all have gifts given from God. Some of them his talents and gifts that he gives us do not manifest themselves till later in life. There's a building process. I find myself having certain gifts and talents. I also am very, very aware of my negatives. I'm very aware of my faults and where I'm very deficient in life. Almost so that I don't really need anybody to tell me. I'm very aware of it. But one thing that I am good about, that God has instilled in me, is an ability to see things more clearly than others, to assess certain things ahead of time, to see things that are going to happen, that are happening, and what will that transpire in the future? What will that manifest in the future? I can remember talking about immigration when I first got in the Border Patrol in 1997 and started to have the understanding of what's going on and seeing it. I remember having very, very strong opinions on illegal immigration and legal immigration. And people used to tell me, nah, you're way in too deep on this. You got to stop. And I would say, no, this is the trend. And if this does not stop, and I see nothing on the horizon that says it will stop, America is going to absolutely be destroyed. And it's interesting, those people that would tell me, you know what, dude, you're a little bit overboard. They now come back and said, I remember what I told you. You were light years ahead of where I was and where we were. I'm looking at the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. I'm looking at the absurdity of the propaganda lie about John Kennedy being assassinated by a lone gunman shooting some kind of rifle that's like a piece of trash and having no connection to the CIA, but now we find out he is. And then the guy that killed him, they were in the army together. I mean, it boggles the mind what we have been told. Charlie Kirk dies. Charlie Kirk was murdered. Within 48 hours, they pave over the crime scene. Prior to paving over the crime scene, they allow people into the crime scene to take whatever they want. All we have is a video of a guy that's on the roof and then climbs down and is supposed to change out of clothes, disassemble his gun, reassemble it, change his clothes, drop down, reassemble his gun, run into the woods, text a very, very long text with perfect grammar and everything to his furry gay lover. It is absurd. Charlie Kirk was shot by a 30-06 that would have absolutely blown his neck to the point it would almost disintegrate his neck to where no muscles, no tendons. His head would have flopped off of his body and it would have been hanging on by maybe some muscle tissue or some tendons or something. The vertebrae, everything would have been gone. It would have been obliterated. But we're told that Charlie Kirk had rhino skin. Charlie Kirk was many, many things, but a very muscular, strong-skinned person he was not. Did you see the absurdity of this world we live in? Joe Kent, the former director of National Counterterrorism Center. I'm going to play this. He just had a conversation with Tucker Carlson yesterday. I want you to listen to him, but I want you to listen to him as you're listening to somebody that has told you, I can't tell you everything, so I need you to read between the lines to understand fully what I'm saying to you. And I'm asking you to do that. Listen to him, but focus on what he does not say in the gray area.
And then, Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way. And we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors. And he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing in the stairway. And I said hi to him and he looked me in the eye and he said very loudly, and you've been in the West Wing. It's small. It's a tight space. And he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that. It's a data point. it's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that?
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to have turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
No, I don't think you are.
because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public, that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran.
Okay. I mean, I could have stopped that video about at least a dozen times just to talk about what he was and wasn't saying. We live in a world of lies. Will we ever find the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk? No. I don't think so. But when you add it all up, even you don't have to be a guy that's in law enforcement like me or think the way that I think. It's absurd. The whole thing is absurd. So when things seem absolutely insane, they don't add up, then you should tell yourself it's not true. It's just not true. Charlie Kirk was killed by a single gunman that was a homosexual that was neck deep in a love situation with a furry. They paved over the crime scene on a Sunday. The Mormons worked on a Sunday. There was no work order. Just as a side note, there was no work order to create that pavement, to pave over that. So you're telling me you made decisions after Charlie Kirk was murdered on that spot. You made a decision. You know what we really need to do? Like, we really need to do this. I don't want any plans for it. I don't want you to go and get permits. Start concreting this area. This area, we have to concrete it. Why do we have to concrete it? Just concrete it. It's on Sunday. It's the Sabbath. Concrete it all right now. Okay. Everyone, don't look at it. Don't look at it. Where was the FBI or the state police, or for God's sake, the campus police to say, hold on a second. What the hell are you doing? No. This is a crime scene. Until I decide that I'm done with everything, you're not touching this. So right there, I see cover up. Right there, I see something's not on the up and up. And if that's not, then what else is not as well? This is why you have to be anchored. You have to be anchored to something outside of us, and that's God. Because if you begin to allow this stuff to swallow you up, you will go crazy. Our world is so fallen, so evil, so vile. It is, and I've said this many times before, it sometimes feels as if I am living in a matrix. I'm in assimilation. Maybe a better way to say this is I live in a bastardized world that God created. I live in a world that God created perfectly, and humans have absolutely destroyed it, destroyed his natural order, and now I'm living in chaos. That's the truth. I live in chaos. Sponsor of my show is sat123.com. You want to talk about being in chaos and how did I prepare when chaos came? Well, you're prepared or you're not. And the way you are prepared is you have to have connectability. if I can't get a hold of my wife or my son and something bad happens, natural disaster, a war, civil unrest, I need to speak to my wife or my son. In law enforcement, if there is a catastrophic event or even a shooting, a violent chaos, what they do is the police, through the cell providers, jam everything, and everything gets focused to one area for those law enforcement, and everyone else does not have the ability to get in and out calls. If you think that's not happening in America, we just had 4 terrorist attacks. We had 2 airlines have to be brought down, their planes land at the nearest airport. We've had guys throwing IEDs in New York, then Austin, a guy shooting people up. If you think that this is not happening, if you think that you're okay, if you think that you don't need a sat phone, you don't need a generator, you don't need a ballistic backpack for your child, I know summer's coming, but your kids still take them to the park, still go to the movie theater, you still go to here, to go to there. Why not have a ballistic backpack? Put all your stuff in there, Johnny or Susie. Put it in your backpack. It doesn't weigh any more than a normal backpack. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't even look like anything but a normal backpack. Hell, why don't you have your wife take her backpack to work? For office, the beauty of office shootings. You don't have to see the world through my eyes, but you have to at least take a peek through the lens that I look at and say, yeah, that makes sense. Go to sat123.com/JJ. Just go to the website. That's my only ask. I'm not asking you to buy. I'm not doing anything. Just go and ask yourself, do I need this? sat123.com/JJ. I have so much to go through. I swear to you, I have so much to go through. Because I start piling it in, because I'm on this show. I'm just like, let's just show why you have to be anchored. Why you can't trust anyone. You want to see somebody you shouldn't trust, like ever? You see this jackass? This jackass is named Tom Tillis. And Tom Tillis keeps voting against everything that we want. And I mean everything. He's a jackass. But you know what he has time for? As you're struggling to make ends meet, we're in a war in Iran, spending almost $1 billion a day. We're funding the nation of Israel in Ukraine and everyone in between, and you are basically barely hanging on. But you know what? Do you know what these men have time for? Well, I'm going to show you what they have time for. You won't believe it.
Yes. And you have been hanging around the Senate button. Come on in. There he is. Oh yeah, and the senator came too. Everybody knows Baby Dog's story, right?
Can you despise these people anymore? Could you just have this visceral, this viral hatred for these people? They have a dog parade. And look at all the people gathered around. Oh, isn't this wonderful? Did any of those people, of the hundreds of people that were there, did anybody look around and go, you know what? We have a lot of pressing shit to do in this country. No, Susie, don't worry about it. Let's have a dog parade. Let me bring this right to here. Just see. Oh, there's a white senator. Let's see. This guy's so old and fat that he's in his little adult stroller. I can understand, truly, I can understand how anyone that is a minority group that have a distrust of white people, I can understand why you distrust and hate these older white men, because I hate these older white men. I don't trust them. I can't imagine what you feel if you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, seeing white men in power that look like this, that are doing stupid shit like this. We've had a election stolen. Do you understand the enormity of a 2020 election that was stolen, that came in with 30 million illegal aliens? It came in with DEI, men and women's sports, all kinds of catastrophes, corruption, graft, traitorous, treasonous crap going on. And we don't even talk about election integrity. We still have 50 million illegal aliens in our country. We're looking at a demographic explosion that is destroying the demographics of the United States of America. And what do these old, decrepit, old white men do? Well, they bring their dogs to work. If you don't despise our government, if you don't despise the people that are in the halls of Congress, then you're the problem. You are the problem. Tom Tillis, God almighty. Let's talk about something else that no one wants to talk about, that makes you absolutely grab your Bible and anchor yourself even harder to God. And that's a transgender issue, the insane transgender issue, the transgender people that are mutilating our children, the pedophiles, the transgender pedophiles. And if you really want to be honest, like have a real honest discussion, transgenderism is a freeway into pedophilia. It just is. The LGBTQ movement is an absolute main line into pedophilia. You go and you Google presidents of LGBT chapters across America and be ready to be shocked that one after another is arrested for child pornography, arrested for raping children, arrested for sexual assault on children. Oh, yeah. And here's one for you. Enjoy this. Be prepared.
You're going to want to sit down for this one. If you're eating something, I suggest you stop. But it is important that you understand what's happening here. So here we go. This is William Kelso Flournoy IV. He goes by Isabel. He's a transgender youth advocate in Washington State, where he advocates for gender-confused homeless kids. And he was just charged with first-degree rape of a child and sexual exploitation of a minor for sexually assaulting a 6-month-old. Police got a cyber tip along with a photo of Flournoy abusing the little girl. I read the police report, and I'll just say that he was doing about the worst thing you can possibly imagine that I won't begin to verbally describe. You're welcome. When police searched his room, they also found multiple baby items that indicated he had some sort of infant role-playing fetish. Last summer, he'd also been found to have Peeping Tom-style photos of young teenage girls on his laptop, along with a video of him pleasuring himself outside of a youth homeless shelter. Now, apparently, this one little girl's family were poor and living out of a motel and working multiple jobs. So they invited this guy and his partner to live with them and babysit their child while they were at work, because apparently a man dressing as a woman wasn't a red flag. And our society doesn't treat it like one, but it should be. It should always be. And this is why. I don't know how many more times we have to read stories like this before we get it. A man dressing up as a woman is not normal. It is an indicator that something is very, very wrong. At best, it shows a disassociation from reality. At worst, it shows a perversion that goes way beyond wanting to wear high heels. And society should start treating it like the 5-alarm bell that it is, because kids should not be paying the price for this left-wing insanity.
Yes. That woman's spot on. These people, LGBTQ, they need to be pushed into the far recesses of our society and pushed so deep into those corners that we can barricade them in. But it's not. It's not barricaded in. They're not barricaded in. What this woman was just saying is absolutely true. We, the left wing, the nut jobs, and then the Republicans that are gutless that won't do anything about it. But the left wing tells us and makes it normalized. Well, let's look at somebody who might be the first lady one day. This is Gavin Newsom's wife. And I want you to listen. It's 55 seconds long about the LGBTQ and how white nationalists are the problem. But I want you to try to figure out what this bubblehead is saying. 55 seconds of gibberish.
There's so much to learn from same-sex couples who have learned to communicate and who also are like, well, look, you know, someone's got to do the care work in a same-sex male couple. Someone's got to do that. So I'm just going to do it. And this is like, and not be afraid or ashamed because it's part of being human. We're all on a spectrum, right? It's just how society kind of pushes us and pressures us into these limiting gender roles. But again, the folks on the far right, they're missing is just this. They're living in this silo, this evangelical conservative silo that ultimately it's just pulling us back as a country to a time and a place where we don't deserve to be, and we're not going to be, because honestly, young women and fathers of daughters are awake now and they're woke and they're not going to let us go back. And so I have so much hope because of that. And obviously California has a huge responsibility to lead. There's so much.
Is there somebody more vapid? Is there someone dumber than this broad? Woke. Everyone's on a spectrum. Sweetheart, I'm on no spectrum of gayness. I'm sorry. If you can't look at me and say, yeah, that man, there's no gayness in him. There's just not. Maybe that God just let the gay gene pass over me. Maybe I'm a mutant, but I don't have any gay in me. Sorry. Never had any inclination, not even have like a wow. Nope. Sorry, sweetheart. See, this woman is a woman that her husband had an affair on her and humiliated her. But I'm under the belief that she partook in a lot of the craziness too, because she's a mental patient. She's a mental patient. And here's something else, sweetheart. As a parent, as a father, I'm never, ever taking any parenting advice or couple advice from same-sex couples. Not going to happen. Divorce rate on women, lesbian women couples, is off the chart. Why? Because women are naturally crazy, and you bring two of them together, and now you have 2 times crazy with nobody to kind of even the craziness out. And I definitely don't want to hear about relationship and parenting from 2 gay men. Not going to happen. Those just simply are not the people I'm going to reach out to for advice. Sorry. Here's another topic you have to be anchored into because I lived it my whole life. Listen to someone that I respect. This is Stephen Miller. The left hates him. The left hates him so much that I like him even more. But listen to what he talks about how we Americans are paying for the health care of illegal aliens. I live in this world. This is 100% true. 100% true. And as you're listening to this about illegal aliens getting free health care, think about the check you write or the electronic fund transfer that disappears out of your bank account every single month.
But what we found since President Trump came into office is that the Democrats have set up a system to funnel hundreds of billions and ultimately trillions of dollars to migrants that are in our country, oftentimes from places like Somalia. So as an example, ICE recently asked a group of illegal immigrants that were in detention whether or not they were receiving Medicaid. Half of them raised their hands and volunteered that they were on Medicaid, just volunteered that. These are the ones who are hiding it, right? They also asked illegal aliens how they paid their medical bills, and they said that if they don't have Medicaid, they go to hospitals, they get free care there, and they bill it to the taxpayers. So they aren't paying for any of their own health care in this country. This is one example. And we've seen this over and over and over again. So under President Trump's leadership, and then of course with JD and the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, we're going to see the first ever effort in American history to reclaim the ultimately trillions of dollars that were stolen from taxpayers.
Trillions of dollars. Listen to a man that's in the inside. Trillions of dollars stolen from the Treasury. That's us. We're not $38 trillion in debt, people. We had $38 trillion stolen. Because we have politicians like this schmuck. This is Chuck Schumer. What is this, 30 years ago? Talking about, guess what? How voter ID. Well, of course we need voter ID. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a social security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a social security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. Let's admit the truth.
That was 1996. That's 30 years ago. He still had bad hair. He still was slumped over in his shoulders. And he's still a schmuck. God. Got to be anchored to something. Can't be anchored to these people. You can't be anchored to our government. God. And this is something that we have to have a talk about. And we do on this show. You have to be anchored to something because there is a race war in America. There are people that breed. You take two dumb people and they breed, you're going to have a dumb child. You breed criminal savages, you're going to have criminal savage children. Just the way it's going to be. Here's three criminal savage people. I want you to listen to what they did to a girl that they raped. And I want you to understand these three savages are 12 years old. Enjoy.
3 boys accused in the violent rape of a 12-year-old girl appeared in court Wednesday for pretrial detention hearings. The adolescents are each charged as adults. The state believes 13-year-old Nelson Nunez, 12-year-old Josiah Jones, and 15-year-old Xavier Tyson should all await trial behind bars.
I want to cheat all.
Judge Richard Hirsch says he wants to see the defendant's full school history before making any decisions. The alleged rape happened the night of June 18th at a community garden in Overtown. The victim allegedly left a friend's home when she encountered the boys. The victim told police Tyson and Jones held her down and Jones put rocks in her mouth to keep her quiet. All this as Nelson allegedly raped her, an attack that police say lasted for 30 minutes.
I never expected anything. His family's never expected anything from Josiah. I never had any type of behavior like this from my son.
The mother of 12-year-old Josiah Jones testified, despite a prior unspecified case in the juvenile justice system, that her son was not a troublemaker.
My client is the only one of the 4 boys who actually took pause, who had a conscience and says, we should stop. This is going too far. This is rape. We shouldn't be doing this.
Jones's lawyer said statements made by the victim herself suggest his client was remorseful.
Does that look remorseful? Here's a radical approach. All 4 of them should be eradicated from this earth. Eradicated. I don't even live in that community. I honestly don't give two craps about the people that live in that community. But I wouldn't roll the dice for those people live in the community that these 3 or 4 savages grow up and they're just terrorists and rape and kill people, because that's what they'll do. They'll rape again and they'll kill. Absolutely, they'll do it. So why don't we all grow a pair of brass balls and do what's right and put them all down like rabid dogs? Because we don't have the courage to do it. Because we're a nation of cowards. And I love, as I've told you many times before, I love to play videos of people that do not look like me, don't have any kind of connection with me color-wise or any other way, and allow them to talk about exactly what I'm talking about. And as you call me a racist, you have to call this man a racist as well. So enjoy this, because I'm sure he's a racist too.
All right, so every time I come to an area that's nice, the thing that they have in common is that there are like no black people around. And I am dead serious about that. And I know that people are not going to like me. You're going to be talking crap about it, whatever. This is the reality of the situation. I'm in Boston for work right now. I'm at the waterfront or seaport or whatever it is. And I was just walking around. It's nice. It obviously looks expensive. There's nice restaurants. Everybody's just chilling, like families. Just everybody is acting normal. And I'm just like, oh my God, there are like no black people here. And when I mean no black people, I mean none. All right. Like, I'm the only one that I've seen that's not like some kind of employee, right? And then there are the people that are here from out of town for the conference that I'm here for. And it really does remind me, like, it makes me think of, well, why is Miami Beach so chill? Why is Miami Beach so quiet? Again, there are no black people. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying this is something that I have observed in the places where people are calm, people are chill. There's just a sense of community. Everybody's just vibing. It's really, really cool. Every time I have that experience, there are either 0 black people or a bare minimum of black people. You can do with that what you want to.
Well, see, he has to be a racist. He has to be a racist. He's probably a white supremacist. I would bet that he's a white supremacist. It's overwhelming, isn't it? It's just overwhelming. I mean, think about the topics that we discussed just today in this hour. In just the hour, what, like 4, 5, 6 topics that are like mind-blowing? You have to be anchored to God and to Jesus. And I'm telling you that from a man that is absolutely, I am trying to be a good Christian, and I fail every single day. Every single day. A guy that is a sinner that prays that God is merciful. But one thing that I'm going to do, that I absolute 100% know, there are a litany of things God can cast me into hell for. A litany. But one thing that he's never, ever going to say to me is, you are a coward, JJ. You didn't stand up. You didn't say what needed to be said. And I gave you these talents, these abilities, and you ignored them. He's never going to say that to me, because I'm going to see things more clearly. And when I do see them very clearly, I'm going to speak about them. This is what you need to do, is you need to take off your lens of stupidity and absurdity and put on the lens of truth. in a world of lies, lies, and more lies, can we just get just a little bit of truth, please?